right, welcome to another Technical Friday live stream here at the Wized channel. Today we are doing the third part of using Supabase in Wized. Wized has an official integration of Supabase, and so far we've done two live streams where we've been seeing everything that we can do with Wized and Supabase. And today we're just continuing from where we left it on the last Friday's live stream. That being said, if you're coming today and you haven't seen the previous live streams, as always, they say, don't worry, you can follow along. And if you are interested in knowing more about what we've been learning, just go ahead and watch the other videos at another moment, because I'm sure that you're going to learn a couple things or so. All right. So, same as always, I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes until anybody who wants to join is here with us, and we'll just dive into it. Just as a quick summary, today what we're doing is just moving on from what was originally planned to be part two, although today it's part three, and keep talking about everything related to authentication. On the last Friday, we saw things like the just an overview of Supabase authentication. We saw how to create users, how to sign in with email and password, and how to get the user session data. We also talked about a very important topic, which is adding security to Supabase with row level security. So if you are planning to build a production grade application using Wized and Supabase, go ahead and make sure that you are checking row level security. That was in part two. So on the second part of the live stream, don't trust this title because today it's part three. So we saw up to this point, and what I want to do today is just continue from here. We're going to see things like how to sign in using magic links. Then we're going to see how to tweak, how to update the emails that that you're sending to the users, because you're going to see that the emails that are sent by default are pretty ugly and basic. So yeah, we're going to see how to change those, how to update the templates, and then we're going to connect an OAuth2 provider to log in using OAuth2. In that case, I'm going to use Google to log in. So what we're going to do today is go from zero on how to set up a Google Cloud project, how to configure the consent screen, how to configure the client to log in, how to whitelist the domains so we can log in from our web, and how to connect it with Wized so we can trigger the login flow just using a button click. Super easy, super simple, right? And then hold on, because it's not updated, but as well, what I want to do is talk about how to update the user. There might be things like updating the user's email, might be things like just updating the user's data, like the user's birthday, name, things that you may want to display on a dashboard, for example. So all of that, I think that we're gonna have enough time today. I think so. We're gonna start in 1 minute. Nelson, hey, good to have you here. Nice. All right. I don't mind if there's not a lot of people here in the chat, because it's already the third part of this, and I haven't announced it in Twitter, but it's fine because I'm sure that many of you guys are coming after the live stream, just watching how to set up Supabase and Wized. So we're good. All right, so let's start doing things because it's already 5 minutes past the time, and I want to do a lot of things today. All right, so let's start by just sending magic link. If we go ahead and check, we go to authentication in Supabase. In here, right now, we've got a couple users that we created on the last Friday's live stream. Then, yeah, we can move on with this. But I'm gonna use one email from myself to test sending magic links. And the first thing that we need to do is set it up in Wized, because we don't need to configure anything except one little thing but we're gonna see in a second. So let's come here in Wized, let's create a new request. And that request, let's call it sign in with magic link, something like that. All right. And this will be a Supabase. And in here, I'm just going to scroll down until I see the sign in with magic link. Now, magic links can be sent both in email format or in SMS format. So I'm going to choose that using my mode. Usually, most of the times you want to use email, but if you have set up a phone sending, SMS sending provider in Supabase, which you can do, by the way, I'm just quickly gonna drop it here. But if you sign in and you want to use phones, you can go ahead and go to the authentication panel in Supabase, go to the sign in, sign up methods, and you will see how you can set up a phone provider. And you've got some providers in here already baked in. Twilio, which is I think that the most known provider, etc. So just keep in mind that you can do it, but Supabase will not provide it for you. You will have to set up an account with an external provider, and then you will be able to start sending out those SMSs for magic links. All right. But let's keep it simple, email. And in that case, what we want to do is sign in using the email. So we need to pass that email. And also, you may want to define where we are redirecting the user after signing in. So we're first going to trigger the sign in flow. Supabase will send an email to the user. And in that email, the user will get a link. And that link, when clicking on it, Supabase will do a bunch of things like validating the token, making sure that it's still valid, etc. That's all handled by Supabase. And then also it will redirect the user to a specific page. We're going to see in a second how to set up a default redirect URL, right? But let's keep it just for now simple and super quick. Let's keep it practical. Let's do it super quick. I'm going to duplicate this page and let's create a login page. All right. So let's do login. I'm in Webflow, by the way. So let's do login. Let's get rid of this rich text block. Whoops. All right. So the whole thing is a rich text block. Never mind. So let's do a heading. This will be login. And let's create a form. And this form, all I need is the email address. That's it. Let's add some margin at the bottom. Margin medium. Yeah, all good. Email address. And what I need to do for a form in Wized, it's two things. First of all, I want to identify the form. So let's come here, add an attribute Wized, and let's do sign in magic link form, for example. It's just an identifier for us. And then also I want to define the field. By default, Webflow that adds these capital. I don't like it. I prefer it to be lowercase. It's just a matter of preference. But anyways, we've got this. All good. Now what we're going to do is when the user submits this form, we're going to send that magic email to the user. So let's scan this for a second. Let's go to the login page. Yep, nice. X-ray. Set this up. And here, let's add an event. And that event will be on submit. We will prevent default. We don't want to send that form to Webflow. And then also we're going to perform a request, and that request will be signed in with Magic Link. That's it. But we need to finalize the setup of the Magic Link because we need to define what email we're sending. Sorry, what email? Yeah, where are we sending the email to? So in that case, what I want to do is just do app.signing Magic Link form email, which is the field for this, I think. Is it? Forms? Yeah, dot email, like that. All right. So that's it. All good. Now, let's try it out super quick because I want to show you one thing. And yeah, let's just try it in here. Let's do... I'm going to use a personal email, so please don't spam me. But I think that's easier. So let's do this. Let me send this. Let's check what happened here. And I'm getting an error here. Signups not allowed for OTP. So that means that this was disabled. Yeah. So if you try to log in and you get this kind of error, so let me open the data store just to make it more visible. See what I got here? After sending the email, I got an error saying, hey, it's not allowed to create a user. And the reason is because by default, when you are implementing authentication methods in Supabase, you have to check that you allow users to be created. Otherwise, only users that already exist will be allowed to log in this particular case. Because in Supabase, you can send a magic link, and if the user does not exist, then it will try to create that user. But I have that option disabled right now, so I need to enable it first. So let's enable this. I'm just gonna reload the page just in case. And now let's try it again. Let's open this so we can see the result. Let's put it on the side. Let's send this. And now you should see how we got here a success. Nice. All right. Right now there is no data because we haven't logged in yet. We just have sent the email. Now, this UI is a bit shitty, but usually after doing this, you probably want to display a message to the user like, hey, please go ahead and check out your email. So let me open the email on the side super quick. And let me pull this up here. And you're going to see how I got this email, which is pretty ugly. That it's just saying from Supabase, hey, confirm your sign up. Follow this link to confirm your user, like that. All right. But you're going to see one thing, and it's that when I click on this confirm your mail, we are going to be redirected to a weird URL. So let's do this. Boom. Nice. But this is right now not working. And the reason is because we haven't we haven't specified a redirect URL when performing this. So what Supabase does is it falls back to the application's default URL, which is defined in the Supabase dashboard. So let's go to Supabase and let's go to authentication URL configuration in here. And in URL configuration, there's the site URL section where we configure the default redirect URL used when a redirect URL is not specified, right? So in that case, Supabase is doing this HTTP localhost 3000 for us, which is common when doing custom development. But it's not our case. In our case, we have to either define the wildflow.io URL in the case that you're developing things. In the case that you have a custom domain and you're, publishing to a paid subscription custom domain, you probably want to define the custom domain in there. So everything always falls back to the domain. There's also the option, as I mentioned, of just leaving this as is and hard coding the email redirect URL that we want to do. But let's just keep things simple and let's grab the URL from wildflow.io, my Wildflow project. And let's go here, and I'm going to define this in here, like that. I'm just going to set the HTTPS protocol, the origin, so the host, and that's it. No forward slashes, no paths, nothing, all right? So let's save these changes. And now I'm going to try to send this email again, which, by the way, will be our limit, I think, because I don't have an email provider set up, because sending emails as well in Supabase, you have to define an email provider. If we don't, then we have rate limits that the rate limits are pretty low. What are the rate limits? I think that it's like 2 emails per hour, something like that. Very, very low. What's the limit? I don't know. We might find out. So let's come here again. I'm gonna publish this. Let's publish it. And actually, how about we do something fun like displaying a message? Yeah, why not? How about we display the success message? So let's do the success message, the one that is from the waffle forms. So this success state. How about we define this and let's say Wized and let's do sign in magic link success. Because what we can do, for example, is after the request is successful, we just set this to display none. To display block, like that. So let me refresh this super quick. X-ray. Now let's select sign in magic link success. And I want to add it an inline style. That inline style will be the display. And the display will be, depending on the result of the sign in with magic link, Let's do, if it was okay, then let's do display block. Otherwise, display none, like that. Whoops, like that. Or we can simply do this because Webflow by default keeps it displaying as displaying on, like that. So if we publish this and we go to the live page, and the reason why I'm testing now on the live page is because remember, I have whitelisted my webflow.io URL. So for now, we're gonna keep testing things here. Although you could test it as well in Wized. I'm gonna talk about this later, so don't worry. All right, cool. So let's try it out again. Alexis Mix says, please don't spam me. I'm gonna say that a bunch of times. All right, submit. Great. And now you can see how nice this was sent. It was successful because the OK was there. And we are seeing this message, which means that here in my email, let me pull this up again. I should see another email if everything went well. Maybe it didn't because I'm not getting the email. Invalid refresh token. Oh, actually, we did not get a successful response. Stay with me. Stay with me. It was what? Let me try it again. 1 second. Too many requests. All right. Yeah. So I'm being rate limited by Supabase. So let me explain what's happening. As I mentioned before, in Supabase, when you're developing, there is a rate limit if you don't define a email sending provider. So what I would have to do is come here, authentication, emails, and I would have to set up a custom SMTP server so we can we can send these emails not through Supabase, but through our provider. It could be SendGrid, Mailgun, Resend, any of these providers. All right. Actually, hold on. I got the email. Yeah, I got the email. So probably the previous time it was sent out correctly, but the second time that I tried it, as you can see here, I got an error, and that's because I was rate limited. But we got the link. Nice. And now we should see how nice we've been redirected to Webflow because of the URL configuration here. All right. Okay, nice. We've been redirected, and you can see how the URL contains some access token here at the top. All right, which means that Wized is already handling everything for us. If we check the if we do a get user request, we should see how we are logged in. And let's do that super quick. In the previous live stream, we did that. We implemented a get session request, and let's just call it when the page loads. So get session on page load. And the trigger will be the page starts loading. Actions will be perform a request, and the request will be get the session, like that. Nice. And then another thing that we can do is, for example, we can display the user's data somewhere. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. So let's go to the home page and let's just scroll down past all of this. Let's just create another section and let's just put the user's info here. So we're going to add a container. Let's do a paragraph and user info here. Let's identify this with, let's do user info, for example. Let's publish it. And now let's go back to Wized and let's say, all right. And in here, in this, I want to display the result of r.getSession.data, like this. All right, cool. Okay, so here inside the Wiz configurator, it's a different environment than the Webflow live site. Keep that in mind because in the Wiz configurator, I'm still logged in using the test@test.com email that we were using on the second live stream that we did. But in Wiz.io, it's a different environment, so I can be logged in and using a different account. And it's my personal account in this case. So if we did it right, we should see how I'm not logged in, which is weird. Hold on a second. Was it requested? It was, yes. I might have lost the context. All right. What it should have happened that didn't is that after hold on, because it's in here. Sorry, I'm using two different tabs. Let's do it again. Let's come here like that. And as you can see, I am logged in the tab that I was redirected from the email. Okay. And here in this tab, this session contains my session, which is everything here using my email like that. So we can see the access token. You can see my role, my email, when it was confirmed, all this kind of data, right? Which means that we don't need to handle anything other than just sending the email to the user. The user clicks a link from the email, and then Supabase handles everything for us, as well as Wized, making sure that the user is signed in after being redirected to the homepage with the access token that Supabase provides. All right, you don't need to do anything else. We are already logged in. Cool. Okay, so we've seen how to sign in with magic links. We've seen how ugly these magic links are looking. Let's see how we can change these emails. So authentication in Supabase, go to emails, templates. And in here, you can see the templates for everything. So we can look into the magic link template. And right now, this magic link template, it's pretty simple. It just contains this. It contains the NH2, say magic link, follow this link to login, and then we've got a template here injecting the confirmation URL. And it's exactly what we got in here, like that. If you want to change this, if you want to add some more fancy things, etc., you can do this in here. You can even preview this like that. So I can say, like, follow this link to login. Please do it. I don't know. And the email will be changed. All right. I'm not a designer. I'm probably going to botch if I try to design something with this. Keep in mind that this is an email. So you want to use HTML that is compatible with the most email clients. So you probably want to use tables instead of using divs with grids and flexbox and stuff because it's not guaranteed to work everywhere. I'm not going to make this live stream about styling emails because it's a whole different topic, but I recommend that you do a bit of research on how to create emails and how to style emails because it's not the same experience that you are usually used to when working with regular websites, especially with Webflow. All right. Keep that in mind. But that being said, as I mentioned, I don't want to spend a lot of time with this because I'm not a designer. Let's move on to signing in with OAuth2, which is a very common scenario. So we want to sign in using a provider, could be Google, GitHub, Facebook. There's a lot of providers, right? So let's see how it looks like first. So let's super quick here. Let's create a button somewhere. Again, I'm going to botch this design. This live stream, it's not meant to do nice things. It's just meant to do ugly things that work. And log in with Google, for example, right? So we're going to keep this button in here. Let's add some margin. Well, let's make this a button first. Let's add some, I don't know, margin bottom and margin medium. All right. So when clicking on this button, we want to log with Google like this. So sign in Google. Okay. Let's publish. And the first thing that we would do here is in Wized, we would set up the request for signing in with Google. So select a new request, Supabase. Let's call this sign in Google like this. And the method will be sign in with OAuth, right? It's not called sign in with Google, it's sign in with OAuth because there are a bunch of providers. You can select from Apple, Azure, Bitbucket, Discord, Facebook, Figma, GitHub, GitLab, Google. There's a lot of providers in here. Twitter, although we should update this to be X. But anyways, like that. So let's use Google, and that's it, right? But if I try to use this now, it's not going to work. So even though if I reload this and I set up X-ray, pause again because it's not finding with X-ray. Give me X-ray. Come on. Why is it not finding it? I think it may be cached for some reason. Let me refresh this. In a second. Huh, for some reason it's not finding this. Why? Hey, look at that. We found a Webflow bug. The Wized attribute is not being added properly. Why, Webflow, are you doing this to me? Don't do this to me. Let's publish again. Stay with me, guys. This was not planned. All right, so there's no Wized attribute. Let's do it again. Wized sign in Google. Let's publish. Let's inspect it. All right, so now it's been added. I don't know what Webflow, what happened here, but I didn't like it. All right, so when having this button here, let's add an event, click add an action, and the action will be simply just to sign in with Google. That's it. Let's publish this and let's try it out. What's going to happen is that we're going to get a bunch of errors here. All right, so see, we're going to see things like, well, we've got an error code, validation failed, unsupported provider, provider is not enabled. The reason why we're getting this is because we need to do a bunch of steps first before being able to use Google in Supabase. So let's go to Supabase. Let's go to sign in, sign up. And here, if we scroll down to auth providers, we're going to see that Google, in this case, it is not enabled. We need to enable and set up Google properly. So I'm going to teach you now how to do this because it requires a bunch of steps. So let's click on this Google thing. Let's enable the signing with Google. And now we're being asked a couple things. We're being asked a client ID and a client secret, as well as we're being provided with a callback URL that we will have to pass to Google so Google knows about this URL and it's whitelisted. So if you want to be following along, there's always if you are setting this up by yourself and you don't remember how to do it, Supabase provides a link to the docs and we can use this as a guideline. So log in with Google, we need to first do one thing, that it's create a Google Cloud project, and then we will have to do a bit of configuration before being able to use it. So in my case, I have already created a project in Google Cloud, but let's create another project just for the sake of showing you everything. So let's do a new project, and this project will be with Supabase Livestream 2 in this case, because I already did one. But let's create this. Let's wait until it's created. Nice. Let's select the project. Okay, and in here, if we go back to the guidelines from Supabase, the first thing that we need to do is for web applications, well, you need to configure Google provider in Supabase project. We've done that. Now let's scroll down here in the Google Cloud Console, go to the consent screen configuration page. The consent screen is the view shown to your users when they consent to signing into your app. So it's the typical Google view that you see when you click, and then you can select your Google account, etc. So let's come here, and you can find this by just looking for consent. And so if you write consent like this, consent, you should see how the first option is OAuth consent screen. This is where we want to go. And in here, usually you just have to do this one time. So if you're setting up Supabase again for the same Google project, you wouldn't have to do it. But for the first time, we need to do it. Google Auth platform not configured yet. So let's start. We have to give it an app name. So let's do with Supabase with Supabase live stream. For example, this is what the user will see in the screen when they're logging in. I'm gonna use my email again. This is my personal email. Please don't spam me to define support like that. Let's click on next. And here in the audience, we have a choice to make. This, if you select internal, it's just because it's an internal app. You don't plan any users to be using this other than your Google Workspace. Most of the times, that's not going to happen. It's going to be an external. Now, for an external app, meaning an app that anybody can sign in, we will have to publish it because Google reviews every single request. So they validate if they allow you to use Google as the login provider. But there's a testing mode, and this testing mode allows us to whitelist emails so we can use it without having to publish it. But keep in mind that the moment that you want to go to production and you want to allow everyone to log into your Google provider account in this case, you will have to publish it. You will have to wait a few days or hours. I don't know how long it takes for the Google Marketplace to validate it. All right, keep that in mind. So let's select the external. Next, contact information. Again, I'm going to use my personal email. Please don't spam me. Next, I agree, continue, create. Yay, all good. Okay, cool. Now, let's go back here again. Added here, we've done the consent screen configuration steps. All right. Now, under authorized domains, add your Supabase projects domain. We'll do this in a second. Configure the following non-sensitive scopes, and then let's create a client ID. So let's do all of this. So first of all, here, let's go to data access, where we define the scopes, and we're going to click on add or remove scopes. And in here, we are being asked by Supabase to enable these three scopes: auth user info email, auth user info profile, and OpenID. So in here, it's Google already knows about this. It's the first ones. So auth user info email, auth user info profile, and OpenID. So we select all of these, we scroll down, update, and you should see how all of this is already added here. And let's save this. The message is asking, Alex, is there any way to keep the instance running on the free tier of Supabase? It's pausing it after some days of inactivity, and I was wondering if there's anything like a function or a cron job. Yeah, if you simply consume the instance, Supabase will keep it alive. So, for example, if you create a function and you create like a cron job that calls the function from time to time, or um, or I mean, you could do it manually, just signing in to your account, or just opening the website that it's pulling some data from the database. You have to do any action, getting data from the database, um, performing authentication, getting an object, calling an edge function, anything. So if you want to automate it, probably what you want to go is with a cron job. That a cron job is essentially just a server endpoint that you are instructing the server to run it every X amount of time. So yeah, we can talk how to set up cron jobs if you want in another moment. It depends on the service that you're using for servers. I don't know, because it's different for Basel, for Cloudflare, for a custom server using Node.js. It depends. But the concept is that with cron jobs, you can define jobs that run periodically every X amount of time. It could be every day, every hour, every minute, every week. It depends. But let's continue with this setup and then we can talk about these off topic section. And here we've enabled the sensitive scopes. Now we need to add the authorized domains. To do that, we are going to do that when creating an OAuth client ID. So in here, or maybe it's in the audience. No, the audience is for the test users. Let's talk about the audience first. Remember that I said that right now we are in testing phase. If you want everyone to use this application, you will have to publish the app. But for now, we're testing. So what we have to do is add test users. These users are the ones who will be able to sign in because we are whitelisting them. So let's add users. And in this case, I'm going to use my email again. Please don't spam me. But it could be any other email from anyone that you want to allow them to test. All right, so I've got this. Good. I think that we could also define some branding. Like I could change the logo that will be displayed when doing the sign-in flow. We can add some more things like the homepage link, privacy policies, all this stuff. And here, we also want to whitelist the Supabase domain. When a domain is used on the consent screen or in an auth client's configuration, it must be pre-registered here. If your app needs to go through verification, please go to Google Search Console, blah, 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 right? So let's add the domain. And in this case, Supabase is asking us to add the domain from Supabase, which is being provided in here. I think, yes. So it's being provided in the callback URL. We just grab this and we put it in here. I think that with no protocol, just the domain, like that. I also want to whitelist my webflow.io website, although I think that it's not necessary, but I prefer to do it like that. Okay, saved, all good. And now the last thing that it's left to do is creating a client. You can do it if you go to clients or from the overview itself. You also will see this button here, create an OAuth client. So let's click on this. And this OAuth client is the one that will give us the ID and secret that we need for the Supabase fields. So here, application type, web application, the name. I think that this is only internal. Yeah, this will not be shown to the users. So let's just call this web client. Web client. Adding here, authorized JavaScript origins. Now, here, again, we need to pass the origins that will allow. So in this case, will be the Supabase URL again, like this. Let's add our webflow.io, oops, our webflow.io URL as well, like that, with no slashes. And also authorize redirect URIs. This is the redirect link that is being sent to. So in this case, callback URL for auth. In this case, it's this callback URL. So let's copy it. Let's paste it in here. Done. And that's it. Let's create this. Now Google is giving me these data that it's what we need to pass it to Supabase. Client ID, client secret. So let's do this. Client ID, copy, paste. Nice. Client secret, copy. Most of the times you don't want to make this public, by the way. I'm showing you this because I'm going to remove this after the live stream, but don't make it public. So this client secret should be blurred out if you were doing something and sharing your screen, all right? Keep that in mind because otherwise people could be faking your account and you don't want to do that. Okay, so client secret, client IDs, let's enable signing with Google and let's save. Nice. All right, so now we can go to Wized and just finalize this. Sign in with Google, the request, sign in with Google. Now, as I mentioned, I don't need to pass a redirect URL because Supabase by default will use my URL. as the fallback. But if you wanted to do a custom URL link, sorry, custom URL redirect after the sign in, you would do it in here. You would, first of all, add the URL. So maybe I would do something like dashboard. So you would add the URL in here like that. You would, so then it would be allowed by Supabase. Then you would also set it up in here. You would say, all right, redirect URL. It's going to be this. Make sure that you are passing the full URL in this case. And then also you would go to the client, this web client that we just created, and you would whitelist the authorized redirect URI. So in this case, you would also add the URI in here, and then everything will be whitelisted. But in this case, I'm just gonna keep things simple. Let's just do it like that. And let's try it out. So let's publish this. And one of the downsides of using OAuth to login is that you cannot do it from inside Wized, because Wized is running your website through an iframe, and Google doesn't like iframes, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass. We've been trying to solve this for a long time, but we are still not at a point where the user experience when using it inside Wized, it's good enough that you can use OAuth sign in from the configurator. That's only affecting you as a developer. It's not affecting the end users. You have to try it on the left side if you want to try OAuth. All right. Inside the configurator, you can always do things like signing in with the email and password. That would still work. So that's still good. Okay, so let's reload this. Let's click on login with Google, and the whole flow will be triggered. We are seeing here, hey, please choose an account in this case to continue to Supabase. I'm going to choose the one that I whitelisted, which is my personal account. Please don't spam me. And we're going to see now the consent screen. This is what we configured before. So if you had a custom logo, if you had some application info, things like that, you would see it in here. You would see all the info. So let's continue. Nice. All right, good. And now as you can see, that's it. If we scroll down, we should see how we've got the session ready with all our data. Nice. So we can see again that I've got my email here. The provider is both with email because we signed in first with Magic Link, but also we've got Google as a provider. We've got some metadata that is provided, like our avatar URL. In the case that you wanted to display an image, you can do that. Actually, let's do it super quick. Let's imagine that I wanted to display my user info. I can do that. So in Webflow, let's add an image. Why not? Let's place the image down here. Let's add this image and let's identify this with Wized user image, for example. Let's publish this. And let's go to Wized. Let's see if the image is there. Yes. And what you want to do is you want to define HTML attributes. And in this case, will be the source for the image. And the value will be the avatar URL that it's provided by Google. So in this case, just for the sake of seeing it properly, let's open the console. Let's type wized.data.r.sign in Google, and we should see the result. Actually, no, not the sign in Google, sorry, get session. And the data contains the session, and the session contains a user property, and the user property contains some user metadata, and the user metadata contains things like the full name, the avatar URL, which it's what I want to use, and some other things. I don't know why we got two things like avatar URL and picture. Let's try the picture. So we want to do return r.getSession.data dot session dot user metadata. And in this case, I know that there's this picture property like that. So if we now refresh this, we should see my face here. Yay! Okay, nice. So hopefully this gives you some directions on how to display some more user info if you are creating a dashboard or something. In the case that you want to pull that data from Google, like the username, um, picture, blah, 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 blah. Okay. If we go to the authentication section in Supabase, we go to users and we're going to see my user. And as you can see, also Supabase has been pulling some data from Google. So we can see that there's the image in here. I don't know if we can see other things as well. But yeah, you can see the raw metadata that it's being stored from the user. All right. Okay, nice. So hopefully this gives you enough knowledge on how to set up Google by yourself. Now let's do the last thing that I was planning for today, which is updating the user. Let's do that super quick. So here in Supabase, let's create another request, and that request will be update user. And when that updating the user, we can do a bunch of things. All right. So let's scroll down, update user, and we can update three main fields from the user as well as user metadata. Now, to update user metadata, it's as simple as just sending that data. That's it. So, for example, I could say, hey, I want to store some metadata about the user's preferences. I don't know. So let's call these preferences. And this can be any JSON data, I think. So in this case, we could do, I don't know, maybe we could return an object and that object contains um, likes emails, false. Likes, pictures, true. Likes dogs, true. Likes, I don't know, starting, false, whatever. I don't know. You can store any data that you like, okay? And in that case, we can send this request. And as you can see, well, this is happening from Wized, which remember inside Wized, I am logged into the test account. I'm not logged in to the Google account, which is in the Webflow.io side. But in here, you can see how we got a success. Nice. We get back the user again, the whole user, and it contains the user metadata that we just mentioned, like this, the preferences. Nice. So if we check again, test at test.com, overview, raw JSON, and I should see the preferences stored. If not, I will have to refresh. Oh, yeah, it is here. Yay, nice. So if you want to be storing data from the user, you can always do it with the metadata. Now, if you want to change main user fields like the email or password, you will have to do more steps because it's not only about changing it here, also you have to validate that because when changing a password, what's going to happen is that Supabase will send an email to the user just saying, hey, are you sure you want to change the password? And the user needs to validate that. And as well for the email, actually, no, hold on. I know that when changing the email, Supabase will send an email to the new email account, and then you will have to approve that, which I'm going to show you now. But for the password, we might not need for the password. Give me 1 second. Supabase, let me pull the Supabase docs. 1 second. Update a user. By default, email updates sends a confirmation link to both the user's current and new email. To only send a confirmation link to the user's email. Yeah, I think that it's only the password. I think that you can change sorry, the email. I think that you can change the password without doing any additional steps. But when sending an email, what's going to happen, as I mentioned, which is what I want to make sure that I explain correctly, um, Supabase will send an email to the new email account, and that email will contain a link. Now, remember, we need to do something about that, and that's done with an additional request. Let me show you. Let's create another request, Supabase, and in here, uh, da, 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 you know what? Actually, I think that it's handled automatically. I think that it is, yes. Guys, I'm confusing you more than I need because it's easier than it looks like. I'm just explaining things very badly. Um, so let me put it again. When you update a user, you change the email, you perform the request, Supabase will send an email to the new email account. And then when clicking the link, the user will be sent again to our website. And remember that that's happening because we have the URL configuration set up with our site URL in here. And then Wized handles everything for you. So automatically will be confirmed, exactly like when you're signing in with Magic Link. The new email account will be confirmed and the user will be signed in using the new email account. All right. Now, the problem is that I am being rate limited. So I don't know if I would be able to try it out, but let's try to do it. Let's try to change the email, and I need to use another email. So let's use my FinSuite email. Please don't spam me like that. So what I would be doing is try to change the test@test.com email to be my FinSuite email. We might get an error from Supabase because of rate limits, but let's try it. Email address test@test.com is invalid. Right. That's happening because, let me show you. When we are updating a user, Supabase says, by default, email update sends a confirmation link to both the user's current and new email. To only send a confirmation link to the user's new email, disable secure email change in your project's email auth provider settings. So let's just do that super quick. How do I do it? Email, maybe? Secure password change, secure email chains. Users will be required to confirm any email chains on both the old email address and the new email address. If disabled, only the new email is required to confirm. All right, just for the sake of testing, let's do it. But you probably don't want to keep that enabled. So let's try it again. Let's play this. Nice. Okay. So looks like it should work, although as I mentioned, I might be rate limited, so I might not get the email, but actually I got it. Nice. Look at this. Look at this. Hey, confirm email, change of email. Oh, hold on. I sent it twice. Okay. But anyways, if we click on this, change email, nice. But email link is invalid or has expired. Nice. Okay, but look at that. It worked. Automatically, I didn't need to do anything else. We just clicked on the email link, and as you can see, now my account is no longer test@test.com. It's alexiglesias@finsuite.com. So if we go to the users table, I should see now how this is alex.iglesias@finsuite.com. Yay! Okay, nice. All right. Yeah. And now it's just to remember there's one last thing that I want to mention today, and then we'll stop the live streaming here. And it's that here, um, if the user is logged in, we can do this update user request, which means that we can say, hey, I want to change the email or I want to change the password, right? But what if the user is not logged in and he has forgotten the password, right? In that case, there's an additional request that you can do, and it's here, Supabase, and send password reset, like that, right? So in that case, let's do send password reset, like this. And in the email, you would send the email to the email account, like that, and they would get a link in an email. Let's try it. Let's see if I'm not getting rate limited. Please don't rate limit me, Supabase. All right, success. Let me check. Yay. All right. Thank you, Supabase. It's working. Okay, and in here again, link, click on this, and because so what Supabase would do is that here when doing this, um Supabase, it's kind of like a magic link. So what happens is that Supabase will log me in here, as you can see. And then in here, you are able to perform the request that would be required to be logged in, which is the update user request. This one in here, right? So keep that in mind. You send the reset link, the user is then sent like a magic link, it's logged in, and then you can perform things like changing the password using that. That's it. All right. Any questions? I guess no. So let me explain to you what's happening on the next part, because we are almost done with everything Supabase. Almost, because I think that we'll still have one part, although it could be two parts. The next Friday live stream, we're gonna talk about everything edge functions, everything Supabase edge functions, how to create an edge function, how to invoke that edge function using Wized, how to pass authentication to the edge function, how to work with access tokens, how to set up a business logic like, okay, maybe we can initialize a Stripe checkout, or maybe we can send an email to the user with some, I don't know, confirmation about an action. Maybe I don't know, anything. We're gonna see all about Supabase functions, and then on another live stream, we'll talk about everything related to the Webflow with JavaScript API. Because if you go to docs.wiz.com, JavaScript API, you will see how we've got custom methods for Supabase. We're going to see how to interact with the Supabase client. And as well, we're going to see how to send objects to storage, how to, for example, upload images, upload PDFs, how to upload any kind of data that the user will be able to download afterwards. And with that, you will have enough tools to build practically any SaaS application that you may want to create with Wized and Supabase. So if you're liking this, stay tuned. Next Friday, we're coming with more info about Supabase. Hope to see you around. We're stopping here. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Thank you.